Right, so I've been doing a lot of thinking and number crunching, and I was wondering what actually are the best stats to work around DPS. Like, can you forfeit damage in the long run for another stat which would work up to more DPS? Along with some of the high-end sets such as Fenris, Petrol Defense, Overlord Armaments are designed, in theory, for their respective weapons. Fenris, AR, Overlord Armaments, Rifle, Petrov, LMG, obviously Sokolov for SMG. So I was wondering, why is the meta for the majority of these builds Providence Defense? 15% headshot damage, 10% critical hit chance, 15% critical hit damage. Does make a lot of sense, but why not make the Fenris set for ARs just that little bit better for ARs? Why would that not be a thing? So I started looking into it, and just as well as the stats that they provide, the assault rifle damage, the stability, the reload speed, would that actually beat the Providence Defense set? Maybe not initially, but like in the long run, would it be more beneficial? And the answer actually isn't as simple as I thought. It really does actually come down to how you wish to play. But the short answer is, it is very competitive on all fronts, and it also opens up a lot more variety. Such as if you have a particular AR that isn't considered very good, so you end up in the Mark 16, Carbine 7 FAMAS meta, but you're not particularly fond of those weapons, you want to try something different, then this is potentially for you, the 3-piece Fenris. It does actually boost that gap in DPS, and I'm going to show it by essentially out DPSing the Providence Defense meta with FAMAS by using 3-piece Fenris with FAMAS. So the way in which this actually works is we are essentially losing 10% critical hit damage, but we're gaining 20% more weapon damage. In the long run, this doesn't actually match up, which is weird. In short, we are losing about 400,000 damage per magazine by using the 3-piece Fenris over the Providence Defense. However, we lose half a second of reload. I'm not sure if I worded that correctly. The reload on the 3-piece Fenris is half a second less, which is actually a big deal, because in that half a second, due to having 900 RPM, your rounds per second is like 14.9994, something weird. So I essentially have half a second, and we will be nice and go 14. I have 14 more bullets to make up that 400,000 damage. At which point I'm now half a second ahead of the Providence Defense, which therefore means I'm going to reload quicker, but my reload itself is also quicker. In short, provided we get a decent crit, which on this build, the same with any other AR build, is between 400,000 and about 800,000 depending on your buffs and stacks, etc, etc. But I can easily make that up in like 1 or even 2 bullets if I don't crit, which now means I've got another at worst 12 bullets ahead of the Providence Defense. Overall, magazine for magazine, the Providence Defense outperforms 3-piece Fenris by about, it's like 0.6%. It's not a lot. But as long as you reload, so if it's just a straight magazine and there's no reloading at all, Providence Defense wins. But the moment you reload, for every single reload, 3-piece Fenris actually out DPSs Providence Defense by a whopping 2%. It is only ever so reliant on the reload though. That is actually where a huge chunk of your DPS comes from, is you reloading. As you can see, our damage isn't actually too bad. We have dropped a little bit on the actual old goody numbers, but it's not that bad. Rather than doing like 720,000, we're doing like, we hover around 550 to 680, depending on headshots and stacks and obliterate and other buffs. I am also using concussion as well rather than vigilance, so please do take that into account. This is my second character and I'm still trying to find a decent backpack. I just wanted to show this off as soon as possible because I thought it was quite interesting. Now, animation wise, you can't actually see the difference in the DPS, but I have sat here for God knows how long, for about 2 damn weeks, farming out these builds and testing them all. I've got an Overlord Armaments one on the way. I just need to sort of finalise a few points. I'm also trying to figure out the best rifle to go with it, because guess what, it's not the M1A. I've got literally so much going on, so there are a few gaps here in the fact that I don't actually have the talents I potentially should have, such as vigilance and running concussion, for some bizarre unknown reason which you'll have to forgive me on, but you know, that's life. So this is the build I am running. I've got the FAMAS, it's not maxed out, and I'm running Killer because it's working out a little bit better because of the fact that we've got increased weapon damage. Instinct would actually work better on Providence Defense, on 3-piece Fenris. Killer is the way to go. I maxed out damage to targets out of cover, but we are lacking on the other stats. And for my secondary, I'm running Virginian. Cody's Mask, lovely and maxed out, and my mods are terrible. Like I said, second character, still grinding. I've got a Hollow Man on here though, so it's all worthwhile. 3-piece Fenris, weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and obliterate. Obviously, glass cannon does more damage, because glass cannon does more damage. Amplified versus additive. Holster, weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, obviously, and then we're running a Grupo backpack for a little bit of extra crit damage, just to try and bridge the gap. Weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, concussion. I'm actually quite liking it because all I've got to do is hit a headshot, and with 900 RPM, it's so easy to hit headshots, just point in that general direction, and it comes up and you do enough damage as well to get the headshot kill. Fenris loves weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and of course our favourite little knee pads, Fox's Prayer, with weapon damage, damage to targets out of cover, and critical hit damage. For the pistol, I am running a D50 with Finisher, and the skills are Revive a Hive and Fix a Drone. I always get those two mixed up. Obviously, we are running Gunner as well. Now, number crunching, which I'm sure all of you are very, very happy to see. So, Fenris AR build is basically the exact same, apart from the scope is different, and I've put the mods to max. As you can see, it's basically the same. The difference is, like I've just said, for the second tab, 3-piece Providence Defense, Grupo Holster, Fox's Prayer, we're still running the FAMAS, and we've actually got a different sight on this because we've hit the max cap on our critical hit chance. Now with this build, weapon damage 95,011, 60% critical hit chance, 188% critical hit damage, and our reload speed is 2 seconds. Doesn't seem like that much of a big deal. On our first build with Fenris, it's 99,430, 168% critical hit damage, 55% critical hit chance, but our reload speed is 1.47 seconds, so we've got more weapon damage, less crit chance, only by 5%, and we're losing 20% critical hit damage. When we actually toggle the critical on, you might notice that we have 266,472 weapon damage, and we got about 15.7 million. Toggle it on the province defense, we're at 273,632 and 16.1. So on the critical side, this is doing more damage, but not by a lot. This is where it kind of gets weird. Okay, so we per magazine, just on these base stats alone, we're losing about 400,000 damage. I've actually worked it out to be roughly about 1 million damage in actual practice due to crit rate, etc, on average, but we more than make that up. So let's now go look at our lovely graph down below. Okay, so just remember, only about 400,000 below, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. So I've even put onto the graph the 60% crit chance. So we're going to go, the line up is the first magazine and the flat line is the reload time. So at the end of the second magazine, we're at 10.6 seconds and we're doing 23.8 million damage. On the Fenris set, we're at 9.6 seconds and we are doing a whopping 22.5. So we're not that far behind on damage, but we're a second ahead, which is interesting. Now I've tried to find a way to actually marry up these two graphs, and my Photoshop skills suck, I'm afraid, so you're going to have to imagine it on your head. Essentially in overall DPS, the Fenris one wins, but only if you reload. Now there is a lot of arguments to be made here, being sort of, well, burst damage and always continually firing, and if you're not always continually firing, with the province defense win? Yes. But then there are situations where you are continually firing, such as a Chunga, or like control points are probably a very good one where you're just spamming shots. So I'm not saying overall this is better, I am simply saying that there are situations where this is better. This is a lot higher DPS in the actual long run of it, simply just because of the reload. And also, if there is a weapon that isn't the meta that you like, I don't know, the SIG, I've actually tried the SIG on this, it actually works pretty damn well. It's weird. Anyway, I'll let you get on with your day rather than me rambling. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.